Okay, so what happened? You're asking the general question. I'm trying to just answer your question before I go and do a whole bunch of stuff. Anything that you do is worth it because it makes it easier to get the results. Okay, well, here's the basis. Every knife, excuse me, what you said, what Josh said. I get Josh and Cole because they're posting and we're talking. What Josh said. Every knife is asymmetrical in some form, unless it is some new modern knives that are like made with CNC type of technology that, does it that evenly, or a machinist that is that good. Not an automated CNC, but a machinist that's that good. But ground knives, they're really good, but they're not necessarily symmetrical. And we can do two things. We can learn to work with the asymmetricalness that most knives are, or we can blame our quality of our outcomes on the knife. And I don't want to do that. I want to learn how to sharpen the knife, whether it's crooked or its steel is goofy. So what we do is we realized that the knives aren't straight. So then we went and we clamped it up and we did a really nice job, but then we noticed that the bevels weren't even, and then we tried to figure that out. And then we found with the lean, and we had the next solution for it, because when I got to the point with the Wicked Edge 120, that I was understanding how to do the mathematical computations to offset the clamping of the knife, plus the micro adjusters. And then the Wicked Edge 130 came along that clamped the knife centered, and I didn't have to mess with it anymore. I was able to do an upgrade that stepped me into the next universe and made the sharpening a whole lot easier. And I got off the track, and what I wanted to go with was that the asymmetricalness is the first thing. Then what we noticed was that, besides the knives being asymmetrical, and that was an issue, but then we noticed that our angles, we couldn't, because the 100 has such a short bar as compared to the other bar. You're working short and close in, so every angle increment, it's very hard to adjust it. When we get into, this is an old one that's chrome, but when we get taller, it gets wider, so it's easier to adjust it. And then we were messing with the adjusters. And we noticed that the adjusters, after we sharpened the knife and we went to do something, it was loose. And then we said, oh phooey, we just spent all that time with the 200 grit stone getting ready to go to the 400 grit. And I discover when I'm going to the 400 grit that the adjuster is loose from the previous stone. So first we recognized that there was the asymmetricalness of the knives. And then we recognized that there was the clamping issue of the knives. And then we recognized that there was the adjuster issue. First, the Wicked Edge 100 didn't have any adjusters. So if you wanted to make it so it was a slide adjuster, you had to turn the handle on the backside. That was an upgrade. That was stuff that users discovered how to work around and upgrade the technique, the accessories. I'm using the word loosely, but in essence, it was the first upgrade that took the standard Wicked Edge 100 that only mounted in the divots. So that was the angle you got, what that divot called that for that knife. And we worked with that. And we got great results. And that's where we noticed that because of the asymmetricalness. We wanted to be able to fine tune the angles, which led us to want to be able to not have to be fixed. So we took the brackets off and turned them around. So now we were putting the point of that set screw against the flat side so we could slide it. So the micro adjustments on the Wicked Edge 100 led Wicked Edge to get taller with the riser block and go longer with the guide, with the square bar, to spread it out to give better adjustability. And then we worked better because we had better adjustability and more scrutinizingly. But we had the issues, asymmetrical knives, blade lean, clamping issues, and then micro adjusters. Understand that everything that Wicked Edge has done forward, all the other models, are to overcome those issues, which is the crux of this conversation. Should I upgrade?